What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. This is season 2. We are in our new studio. I am Cynthia Conte.
And of course, I am Jeandra LeBeauf, and I am happy to be back in Vegas. The weather is not hot because I brought the cool breeze with me, but an even cooler breeze is a guest that we have with us today.
Oh my God, Jeandra, you have no idea. I am so excited. When I thought, I'm like, who, when we book our guests, we go through the list of like fighters, and then I'm thinking, I always respond to this man on Twitter, and just like seeing the stuff that he goes through at the airport. I watch him on TV. I'm listening to him talk, and I'm like, wait, we both worked with him, and he's given us such sound advice. And this man, I consider a mentor, the things that he said to me, and when I ask him questions, but I want to tear up right now because it's like, we have a legend in studio, Jeandra!
Yes, we do.
Oh, God. All right, the legendary, the one and only, Mr. Al Bernstein!
Oh, my God, thank you. All righty, well, that was quite the introduction.
Why, thank you.
I have goosebumps on that one. Well, and let me say this. Both of you are really terrific people, and as you point out, our paths have crossed in many, many ways in the past, and it's been my joy to interact with both of you guys. But now we get a chance to do a show.
I know. Thank you for coming in, and we appreciate you. I know that you've been flying around because Showtime has been very busy.
Oh boy,
He's kept you busy flying everywhere, but thank God. But to take some time out and talk to us and just tell us your
happy
story.
to be here. This is nice.
Mm-hmm. There's a little history that you don't know who owns this studio. So his name is John Orlando, but his dad is Tony Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when we told John that, we have Al Bernstein, he's like, he signed a book and blah, blah, blah. Because, we interviewed Tony.
Yes.
Yeah, Tony's a great guy.
He's a great interview,
yeah, we
too.
sang Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree. Yeah, and we're going to expect to hear you sing later. Oh, yes. But this is his son's studio. So.
Oh, very good. Yeah, Tony's a great guy. Tony, a big boxing fan, as you
huge.
guys know. Yeah, he loves boxing. So
Yeah.
that's great.
He told us some great stories that a lot of people don't know. We saw footage, and even John, his son, told us things that when he was a little kid about Muhammad Ali, just like the craziest story. I mean, girl, remember when he was telling us, we're like, what?
He was telling us some wild stories out there. There's some YouTube footage. You'll have to wait for the Tony Orlando interview to get the full breadth of what we're talking about. But it was an exciting interview. But even here today, before we get into talking about all the things boxing, we have to give you your flowers.
Yes.
We have to give you your flowers. Because what a lot of people don't know who might be new to Cynthia and I or just even my own journey in boxing, Al Bernstein gave me my first opportunity. Because without Al, there would be none of this. We worked on a project together for Boxing Insider. We raised a ruckus. You and I and Claudia Trejos raised a ruckus after Canelo fought Erislandy Lara. Now, you are a real boxing fan if you remember that. And we did a hangout, and we were all on the same side of history, thinking that Canelo lost that fight to Lara. But more importantly, I just personally wanted to thank you for the opportunity, not to mention all of the sound advice. I think about all the things you used to tell me, and it just taught me so much. And I could not be happier to be here with my twin brain, to be here with you. I feel like this is a whole full circle moment. I feel a little teary too, because literally without you, there would be none of this.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, when we were back doing the boxing channel, I had you do some reports, and we, like you said, we did other things together as well. I love the idea of, having people that are beginning or doing things to, try and get involved. I love the idea of trying to be helpful, number one. Number two, then watching their journey as I have yours. So Cynthia, who I, met later than that. But I love seeing people do their thing, find their way in the business. And, listen, if you aren't going to give back at some point, then I don't know. I've had people be very kind to me. When I was starting in broadcasting, I mean, when I got on ESPN way back at the beginning in 1980 when I was 5 years old.
Exactly,
My
5.
nose is growing, right? People like Gil Clancy, the great Gil Clancy, Don Dunphy, the famous announcer from the 40s and 50s and 60s, who I met. They were so kind to me. They were giving. They were, So my feeling is you want to give back.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you are a true visionary. A lot of diversity and stuff in programming is really, really performative these days, especially in the times that we are. But at that time, you made it very clear you wanted to see more diversity, women,
yes.
people of color,
yes.
and just all of those things. And I am personally so grateful. I know Cynthia will express her gratitude as well, but you are truly a visionary in that regard.
Oh, you're very
particularly in this space.
Yeah, you're very kind to say that. Yeah, I believe that 100%. I think it's a part of what, broadcasting, part of it is some of the things that happen are for benign reasons, right? They're not because somebody is against it happening, but it's a cycle. Things just kind of continue to roll as they have been, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to break that mold. If you don't break it, yeah.
No, it's absolutely, it's so true. I mean, when you give your flowers to Al, I have to give my flowers. I haven't known you that long in a sense, but I think I remember the first time when I found out that I was going to be hosting Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame with you, pre-pandemic. I was so nervous.
That was fun. We had a good time.
It was so fun. And I just remember when we were in the waiting room where all the athletes or the fighters come in, they're all dancing, I was nervous and I had my cue cards. And I remember I asked, people would always say, why do you write everything? And I'm like, because I'm a writer. I write. Sure. I don't put things on my phone because my phone can get lost. It can die. And you're like, I think the best thing that you said was, if something doesn't go wrong, then this isn't the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right, yes.
And then I was like nervous. I'm like, I need a shot. You're like, that's fine. I'm drinking too. I was like, and it calmed my nerves.
Yeah.
And it was really the past 2 times have been such an incredible time working with you, and even Raul Marquez, and Rich Murata. And it was just fun. And I'm thinking, okay, I belong here. And you made me feel like I belong there. Because when you have all these legendary fighters, they'd be like, why is this girl standing there? And it's always that cliche of women don't know boxing. Mm-hmm. Damn sure y'all are wrong. There are some women that know boxing.
Yes.
But to be able to explain their life in those very, very minuscule seconds or minutes, encapsulate what they've been good at and why they're receiving it. And I'm just like, listening to you do Floyd Mayweather, I was in awe. I'm like, oh my God. It's just, all the fighters, all of them.
Well, you did a very good job that night. I'm not saying that because I'm sitting here, and you were very well prepared. And that was the key. And, there is a spontaneity, which was kind of what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
But you need to be prepared so that you take care of your business, and then it'll make you better prepared for those spontaneous moments where you have to react to things.
Yeah.
And you were, and that was fun. But yeah, I wanted to, I guess my comment was probably geared to the fact that, there is no way this thing is going to be perfect. There's no way it's going off without a hitch.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. And the other thing about that event is it's a pajama party. You're there
forever.
All night.
5 hours.
You could make prank phone calls and order a bunch of pizzas, and get in your pajamas. You'd be there that long.
I know. It was like, if it's under 5 hours, we are good.
Yeah, we did a great job.
Salute to that.
Well, that was a lot of fun. You guys are collectively, it's been, I've had great experiences with you, and this should not be my last visit on this show.
No.
I'm just saying.
It's an open
pitching.
door.
Hey, look, I'm making a pitch.
I'm trying to tell you, come through with us. And, and alongside with that, some wonderful advice to me. And this is something that I still hold true. I use it in my entertainment content too. You told me before, the story is really not about you. It's about the guest, and you should be a vessel for the story, because there's so many personalities that make it about them, and it's not for the people that they're covering. And I really hold that true and dear to my heart. It has benefited me in
You do
so
that.
many
I
ways.
see your interviews, and you do
I
it.
got that
You
from
see that?
you.
She's like
Well,
thriving in Hollywood and entertainment.
I love, you know, part of this whole business, you know, this is inside baseball we're talking, but part of this is finding the niches where you can make a mark and what you're good at, and you did that very well with the entertainment interviews, and you found outlets for them, and you've done a great job. You make all the guests feel comfortable with you. You're prepared to interview them, and so they want to be interviewed by you.
I appreciate
And that is
good.
why I was like, I kept pitching. I'm like, I need to do a show. We've always been wanting to do something together.
For many
Thank
years.
goodness for pandemic. I mean, Al,
Yeah,
I'm telling
you made good things
the
happen.
stuff that we were talking about, turtle races,
Marble
races. I mean, everything. We're like, how can we do something?
Yeah.
And then we were finally able to have the opportunity of who would we want in a show, and we had certain people, but it just came down to us two.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're thriving. And
No, you guys are doing great. And that's,
thank
and that's
you.
good. I appreciate the things you're saying because it's part of to me, what you just said about, you know, the idea of doing an interview and allowing the person to shine. I just am a firm believer in that. And it doesn't mean you get lost. It doesn't mean that, you know, even when you're, you know, doing live sporting events. I mean, this is a big, you know, a big topic of debate these days, especially because broadcasting has changed. And people doing live events, how much do you imprint that event? Don't take it over. Don't try and take it as your hostage for what you want to do. You're there to cover the event, and you're there to showcase the people that are performing in that event. And I'm a big believer in that. And it's not always the philosophy that is overriding now in the sports world. In fact, I'm going to say the majority of people don't necessarily subscribe to that theory, but I believe it 100%. And I think it's true even when you're having interviews. When I did a daily radio show on the ESPN affiliate here in Las Vegas for about 5 years, and when we'd have these, they'd have meetings with the, a consultant or whatever that would come in, and they were happy to have me on their station as a national guy. So they almost didn't address me with any of this stuff. They were just talking. But I heard them talking to the other younger hosts, and they were telling them things that were not exactly what I said to you. You know, they were trying to get them to make a mark for themselves while they were in it, because then they would make themselves better personalities. And I listened to it, and I didn't get involved, but I wanted to say, no, there's ways for you to make your mark at another time during the show. And you can make your mark by asking really great questions, having good interaction with the guests. That's how you do it, not by trying to take over the interview.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's the interview is
anyway.
not about yourself; it's about them.
It
It's
is
all
about
about
them.
questions
Yeah.
and preparation.
Vessels.
That's all it is.
Shout out to the vessels out there.
People don't know. 1978 started in your newspaper. Like you actually wrote
Yeah.
your first book in 1978. And you were in newspaper, you're an editor, you were everything. I didn't know a lot of things about you. I didn't know, I knew you were a singer, I knew you were a broadcaster, but there was a lot of things. Why not just stay a singer and just, be like a Tony Orlando or an Elvis Presley? Or why did you decide to come in this crazy sport or crazy broadcasting?
Well, it's interesting. I was a newspaper editor in Chicago. I worked in newspapers, and I wanted to be a sports writer, right? That's what I really wanted to be. But when I got out of school, I got a job with Learner newspapers, community newspapers, and it was in hard news. And so, okay, I'm in hard news, and I kept trying to get jobs in sports. I wasn't getting jobs in sports. Nobody would hire me for sports. So
Nothing's changed here. The
Right.
same,
Yeah.
same landscape for women.
Right, that's right. Yeah, women have a different problem. They're not hired in sports for a different reason. And for whatever reason, I couldn't, so I kept moving up the ladder. Eventually, I was like 30 years old, and I was managing editor of this chain of newspapers, which was ridiculous. I don't even know why I was at that point. I mean, I'd won this award for reporting. So, of course, the minute you win an award for reporting, they make you an editor so you never write again. Right? So that was stupid. But so I'm the managing editor of these newspapers, and all I want to do is go work in sports, but I'm getting pushed up the ladder. So finally, I said, I got to do something. Well, ESPN was coming to Chicago. They were just starting. And nobody knew who they were. They were, in embryonic status. And were having boxing at 4 different sites. One of them was Chicago. And I had written this book, Boxing for Beginners.
Yeah.
I was then covering boxing for Boxing Illustrated and Ring Magazine because I had boxed as a youngster and I'd written this book on boxing. So it was the natural sport to begin with. I never expected to be the boxing guy. I just thought that was an entry thing. And so ESPN came and I contacted them. We couldn't even get ESPN, so I didn't even know what it was. And I said, you don't have to pay me. I'll just do stuff for your broadcast when you come to Chicago, because I knew the Chicago fighters. And they said, okay. They loved the part where they didn't have to pay me.
Free.
Yeah. And so I got on, and at one point they interviewed me about my book on the air, and they thought that was okay. And we had a show where Tommy Hearns had sat in, and he was the guy that was the analyst with Sam Rosen. And Tommy was struggling a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was there, and they said, could you sit in on the broadcast? And I said, okay. I sat in on the broadcast. They loved what I did, and that was it.
I want to go back to that. Tommy Hearns, that's a whole nother story in itself. But I want to rewind to the fact that I never hear people talking on social media. There's always so much discourse about this person's never done this. Why are they capable or have the IQ to talk about a sport? You just said something very critical, that you used to box. Yeah. And I never see people talking about that online. How long did that last? And why did you even go? Why were you even attracted to it?
Yeah, that's also 2 good questions. So I'm going to go a little deeper psychologically. My dad died when I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was privileged, and I'm going to say this, to be completely influenced by women. Mm. And I say privileged because it was great. I liked it. I thought it was great. But there was something that, because my dad died young, there was a feeling, this is going to sound weird, of weakness. Like that,
no, that makes sense.
They're like,
sense.
Okay, my dad died young. I was, I felt like I had to do something. I played baseball. I was a good baseball player in high school. I played all the other sports. But I loved boxing. I was a fan, and I said, I need to do this. I have to prove something to myself. I have to just prove that I can get in there and do that. So I went to the Park District in Chicago that had a boxing program, and I got involved. And for about 3 years, I was doing boxing in the Park District. There's two things in Chicago. There's, the Golden Gloves programs, but then not every city has this. Chicago had a very strong boxing program in their Park District. And I boxed in that system, and it was great. I had maybe about 35, matches, and I was.
What was your weight class?
I was fighting at, I think, 160 or in that area.
Middleweight. Okay.
Yeah. And it was fun, I enjoyed it. It was great. I won most of the time. I lost some, and I was okay, good enough. And it speaks to what you're saying. At least I know what it's like to get inside a ring and have somebody hit you in the head.
Yes. So I have to. I don't like it. It hurts. When people say you've never been in a ring, I'm like, I have. Yeah. I have sparred. I've never fought like a professional fighter, but I don't like getting hit in the face. It does hurt. I don't have a nose, so I'd like to keep my face.
Exactly. We have to keep it together. True story. I never told you. I too have been in the ring too.
Oh!
There is a boxing gym that's not far from me in LA called Broadway Boxing Gym. If you watch Ray Donovan, you've probably seen the facade of it on Ray Donovan.
Okay.
And now that gym is actually owned by the rapper D Smoke. He and his brother, the singer Sir, have taken it over. But yes, the hitting in the face was not for me. And also what was not for me was the big heavy thing they hit you in the abs with. I said,
Oh, yeah.
no, hell no.
Yeah, the ball.
Hell no.
Yeah.
That's
You
not for
roll
me.
on it and you do all that stuff.
Emphasis on the hell no. But I still enjoy watching it, for
Yeah.
sure. Shout out to my dad.
I
There you
know.
go. Yeah,
Well,
there you
I
go.
know that there's so much. I mean, there's so much of your life that we have to talk about, but we can't because obviously people, when they watch you, they're going to be like, "Oh, this is the guy on Showtime."
Yes.
So fast forward to being one of the. I mean,
Premier.
sorry everyone, but
Elite.
he's the best broadcaster.
Facts.
I call what's his name, Buffer, the golden voice on the mic. You are the golden voice of broadcasting.
I appreciate
and so when I listen, I do my homework. I listen to what you say, and we've had some incredible fights. Jeandra, we're going straight to it.
Let's get
There's some
to it.
fights. Because we're going to run out of time, and I don't want.
Particularly in your neighborhood of Showtime.
Yeah, and I know you can't give predictions because you're on the mic, or maybe you can.
when I'm calling, I just have a rule when I'm calling
Yeah.
a fight, I don't like to make a prediction.
Okay,
you know?
Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford finally has gotten done. I know you're very excited about
Yeah.
this fight. People say, I mean, it's really a 50-50 fight. The
I think
betting
so,
odds,
yeah.
it
I
really
believe.
is. What does one have to do to the other to be victorious?
Yeah, and that, and even that, in this fight, there's so many levels to that because we know that Terrence Crawford, if you look up the term boxer puncher in the dictionary, his picture is next to it, right?
Yes.
He can box. He's shown us power. Even in his last fight against Sean Porter, who. He stopped. Now, some people question whether they should have thrown in the towel at that point. His father did. But in any case, he had Sean Porter in trouble. So he also has power. And for Errol Spence, I mean, one of the best body punchers in boxing, a very aggressive fighter who just is relentless in stalking you and getting the job done, and has a good skill set as well. I think that for Errol Spence, the trick in this fight is to make it as physical as he can against Crawford. Mm-hmm. Crawford is, let's face it, he has come up in weight more than Spence has. Spence is probably a more natural welterweight.
Yes.
And a bigger welterweight. Everyone always talks about him potentially fighting at 154. He needs to get inside, be as aggressive as he can, go to the body. And for Terrence Crawford, I think you want to try and make Errol Spence walk into one of your big power shots. He's very powerful when he is countering you and you provide some of that impetus as well. And so I think he wants to counter effectively. He needs to stay off the ropes. He doesn't want to be there. And use his skill set to pick Errol Spence apart without allowing Errol Spence to get his way in. One of the things to me that's probably going to be, I haven't gotten this close, but for the infamous keys to victory, I think one of the things Errol Spence really needs to do in this fight is not abandon his jab, because that'll help him get inside, and he has a really good jab. So that's an important thing.
In your mind, do you have someone, you don't have to tell us obviously, because
No.
everyone has someone that they want to win. Do you have someone in your mind that you would like them to win? Doesn't matter if it's Showtime, doesn't matter who they're signed with, but as a fighter.
Oh, you mean in general?
For you, like in your mind, who you think is going to win this fight?
Oh, this specific fight. Honestly, it's funny if somebody stops me at the grocery store or something like that, and they ask me, and I say, I really think this is a 50-50 fight. And they say, oh, come on, you don't, come on, tell me
You're
what
being
you
too
really think.
political.
We're in the grocery store, you can tell me. Honestly, I could see this fight going either way. I could think of 10 scenarios going either way. I really could. And to me, that's exactly what makes this such an interesting and compelling fight. And the fact that they're both still, they've gotten a little older than when this fight was originally planned. But I think we can all say with objectivity, they're still in their prime. They still are fighting really well. So to me, this fight is just a pick'em fight. And that's why I think people gravitate to it. I think that's why people are so excited about it. And, it seems like every generation, there's this is boxing's cross to bear. There's a poster, one fight is the poster child for, that fight's not getting made, so boxing doesn't make good matches, right? It was Mayweather-Pacquiao for a while. There have been other ones. This one has been that fight, and now it is being made. And so I think and the reason it's that poster child is that it's such an even fight.
What's so intriguing about this is I think about some of their past opposition. For me, when I think of, not because they particularly have anything in common, I look to Errol Spence's fight against Mikey Garcia, how people had very strong ideas of how that fight would look. And then ironically, we had Hank Lundy on earlier with us, who's going to be fighting on the Boxing Insider card coming up this Thursday. And I think about his fight against Terrence Crawford.
Yeah.
So both of them have a habit of fighting to the level of competition across from them. So with Errol Spence, and I think about the Mikey Garcia fight, there was all these ideas that Mikey was going to outbox him and he was going to do this and do that. And with Terrence Crawford, who's such a skilled fighter, who's such a skilled technician, it makes me wonder what is the next level for Errol Spence in a fight against him, because he turned it to another level when he fought against Mikey Garcia and totally dominated him. Same thing with Terrence Crawford. It started off a certain way, and then ultimately he crushed Hank Lundy. So is it going to be, do you foresee it being a matter of them fighting to the level of opposition? They have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. Do they come out fast? Do they come out slow? If you could envision it based on your history of seeing Errol Spence fight and being a fight fan and seeing Terrence Crawford fight, is it a fast start? Is it a slow start? How does it look?
A lot of that, I think, some of that will depend, I think, on, look, Terrence Crawford may decide, because there's the perception that he's the one that has to box carefully at the beginning. We might see a more aggressive start from Terrence Crawford than we anticipate. We expect Errol Spence to he wants to get his engine running as quickly as he can. Maybe it won't happen right away, because he wants to get that rhythm of attacking, getting. A perfect example is his fight with Ugas, when he fought Ugas. It didn't take him that long, and Ugas really was fighting well at it, and I knew Ugas was a great technician. It didn't take Spence. It took Spence a round or two, but it took him not that long to get his engine running and really start going. I think if we're going to see a surprise in how aggressive someone is, it might be Crawford, who the perception is that he would box, especially early in the fight, to get the idea of how much can I counter and what can I do with him. We may see him be a little more aggressive.
I hope so. I know it's going to be a great fight for sure.
I don't think it's going to be a boring fight. I don't think it's going to be just a tactical fight. Do you?
No. It's Errol is a southpaw, and Crawford is a switch hitter. So I'm very curious to see. I'm just curious to see
how much does Crawford switch in the fight.
Yeah, because he's used to. Errol has fought both. So I that's why I'm like you said, it's a pick'em fight. I do not know who's going to win this fight.
No,
super exciting.
And either man is capable of doing something during the fight that will surprise us, right? It's like we've seen Crawford especially do things, and Spence too, where you say, "Oh, I didn't know he had that in his bag of tricks," and then and they get it done. So it's going to be it's going to be such an exciting weekend for boxing. We'll take over Las Vegas, and it'll be just a great experience.
I'm just finally glad it's done. It's.
I'm mad that it's done when it got done.
I know.
All this time I'm going to be on vacation.
Yeah, she's going to be gone because we thought it was going to be the 17th, and then they moved it the 21st.
Terrible.
Crawford, Spence, did you not listen to the boxing gods that Jeandra asked?
I kept texting him like, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. Could you kind of hold off, please? Because it's all about me, of course.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they didn't consider you as the number one priority in that.
As they should.
I'm shocked.
As they should.
In fact, I'm appalled.
I'm going to change my name to
Steven Espinoza.
Jeandra Heyman.
Jeandra Heyman. Al Heyman.
Thank me.
I'm gonna call Stephen and say, Stephen, you killed Jeandra on that
Messed
one.
it up.
Oh, no, you know what? I've always told Stephen, you know this. I always say, I think you need more women on the broadcast.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Let us roll.
Jeandra and I, we could do a pre-show like the Mortal Kombat guys.
go, there you go.
See,
Exactly.
Brian Campbell. I'm just putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. We're gonna manifest it. Okay, so more fights because Showtime they have been putting out fights after fight. Jerron Ennis, Boots. I'm the president
That's
of the fan
the president
club.
of the fan club right
He's
here.
finally fighting. I don't even know when the last time he fought.
Yeah, he's had a long layoff.
Yes.
And he's fighting Roman Villa on July 8th in Atlantic City. He's been in a very weird spot, right? Because
I feel bad for him.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Interesting because he's probably too good for his own good, right? And nobody's rushing to fight him. There's this, even look at Stanionis, who could have fought him and was maybe going to, and I don't think Stanionis this wasn't an avoid, but there was an opportunity. He and Virgil Ortiz are fighting in a terrific fight that's coming up. But the cards haven't fallen where Ennis is in a position to take better fights. Now, Villa is a good fighter, and he got here because he won against Rashidi Ellis, just barely in a wildly exciting fight. And so he's going to be an interesting challenge for Boots Ennis. But we all want to find out how good is Boots Ennis against the top competition. Boots Ennis offensively is ridiculous.
Oh, he's like poetry in motion.
Beautiful.
Offensively.
What it is.
Now, he could be hit, and he has been hit. But nobody so far has hurt him. I mean, in the fight with, I can't remember who it was, Delorme, Thomas Delorme.
Yes.
If you remember that fight, Thomas Delorme who isn't a monstrous puncher, but he's a good puncher in the round one, he hits Ennis with a big right hand. And we're like, oh, okay, Ennis shakes it off. About 10 seconds later, Delorme hits him with another huge right hand. This one, not only did he shake it off, it made Ennis go after him. Ennis went after him. The fight was over 45 seconds later. And I'm like, wow.
Woke him up. He's like, this ain't happening on my watch.
And so here's the interesting thing. When he gets in against because of his offense, he's got, it's a hell-bent for leather style in a way. Sometimes he's available to be hit. Now, what's going to happen when the good punchers in the welterweight division hit him like Delorme did, or a couple other people? I don't know, but here's what I do know. If he can take those punches, holy cow, look out. Because offensively, there's nothing he can't do.
147 continues to be stacked, continues
really
to be
it's really
the
good
glamour division for sure. Our time is winding down.
Wait, I have
for
to
us.
ask you one other question because I did see it. Stephen Fulton and
Inoue.
Yeah, that's
people.
a fantastic fight.
I mean, I've seen
Crazy.
people. They're gonna Inoue is going to lose, or vice versa.
It's a
what do you
brilliant
think?
fight.
It
Brilliant
is,
fight.
It's a fight that has to be done.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Inoue, a big puncher, but stepping up in weight. Stephen Fulton, not a big puncher, but a fantastic offensive machine in landing punches. He, too, is a little bit like Ennis. Brandon Figueroa was able to hit him with a lot of punches. But Figueroa, of course, is Figueroa.
Yeah.
He's a
Yes.
machine. But so what happens when Inoue hits Fulton? If it does not hurt Fulton, or Fulton can get past it, then Stephen Fulton's in business because he's a volume puncher, and he certainly has a good chance in that fight. It's going to be a great fight. I mean, I think it's one of the 2023 in boxing has been an astonishing year. It's going to be an astonishing year, and that fight is a big part of it.
All we need is a heavyweight bout to be announced.
Any of them.
Any of them.
Any heavyweight fight.
We have the
Water
picture of
release.
us in our matching leopard, and then she post this matching leopard of 2 older women. We're like, we're still waiting for a heavyweight belt.
That's what we're going to look like by the time they announce one.
Yeah,
somebody, Usyk, Fury, Wilder, Ruiz.
Wilder did call out Ruiz.
With the string around your
anything.
Yeah, you'll be
anything.
We've got Joshua stateside here now. So
hey, this is exciting.
Make it happen.
Okay, so Al Bernstein, I tried to order your book and it was going to come in tomorrow, so I was like, I can't read it. But she did read your book or listen on a Kindle.
Audio.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep this book and we're going to get this autograph. But why did you write 30 Years, 30 Undeniable Truths about boxing, sports, and television?
You know
Al
what?
Bernstein?
Thank you. It's a fun read. It is not, as you know,
it's a great read.
I didn't write some serious tome. There are some serious thoughts in there, but it's mostly me wanting to tell. I've had a lot of experiences over the last, I've been at this 42 years now. And I thought it would be fun to put some of them down that people would get a kick out of. And it's very much in a humorous tone. And I just thought it would be fun to do. And I'm now thinking of doing, doing a sequel to that one. And maybe I'll make it 43 years and 43 Undeniable Truths.
Listen to this, Jeandra. Greatest matches Al Bernstein has announced. Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo 1. Marvin Hagler versus Hearns. Israel Vasquez versus Marquez 3. Rafael Marquez 3. Caveman Lee versus John Lo Cicero. And Juan Manuel Lopez versus Rogers. I don't know how to say his name. Matagua. Wow, just the first
those
3. Wow, I can read this book in like.
It is a quick, great read.
It is a very quick read.
And it's summertime too. If you're going on vacation.
Well, there you go.
Pick it up. You can read it while you're on vacation. Sit by the pool.
Not to be too shameless, but I invited you guys to come during that Spence Crawford weekend, and I do want to mention it so the folks.
Oh, please do.
Tell them that's your camera right there.
Yeah, that's your camera. Invite everyone.
I will be at the Tuscany Hotel and Casino on July 27th. We're going to do, as they alluded to, I do music shows frequently, and in the old days I used to do them all the time in the 80s. Before the fights with Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, and then that was the Caesar's Palace, and then I used to perform at the Mandalay Bay during the 2000s before some of the Mayweather fights and the other fights, and so I'm kind of reviving that and doing a show at the Tuscany Casino on Thursday, July 27th. It's at the Piazza Lounge. We're going to be doing music. And also doing some boxing trivia and giving prizes away.
Ooh. We like prizes.
There's no cover charge. Come on by. You'll hear all kinds of music. I do a lot of the Great American Songbook, but I also do country and blues and some special material. So hopefully folks will get a chance to. And we'll have a lot of boxing celebrities. A lot of the boxing fighters and personalities will be there. It'll be a fun time.
Oh.
Everybody's going to be in the house. They're going to be in town. This is fun. On Thursday night. Folks will start arriving by Tuesday for sure. Go see Al. I mean, there's a whole microphone in front of you right now, Al. If you want to give us a few,
I know.
Here's a song that was written for me many, many years ago. When I was at ESPN. It's called the ESPN Blues.
There is a song written for you?
I've got several songs written for me.
For ESPN Blues?
Well, this one, and then I've got another one that we're going to do. I woke up in Chicago, had my eggs and toast, packed my overnight bag, then headed for the coast. The airport's always crowded, but everybody's got to pay their dues. I got the ESPN Sports Announcers Blues. There you go. That's one of many that we'll be doing on Thursday night.
There's one song I do want to sing with you because I know you've been posting about her. What good is sitting alone in
Liza.
your room?
Yes.
Come hear the music play.
Oh, very nice.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret.
There you go.
I didn't have my lighter, so I'm going to put my phone up.
Liza Minnelli?
Good. Hey, listen, wait. I may get you into my act.
I used to sing. Well, it's not like I sang professionally.
I like it.
But no, I sang for a while. I used to do pageants, so singing was my thing.
I did not know that.
And cabaret was my number one.
Was that one of your go-to songs?
Yeah, that was.
You did that lovely. That was very nice.
Yeah.
I'm a big Liza fan, and I'm all distressed because she didn't get the Kennedy Center honors. So I'm
really sad.
I'm going crazy over that.
Yeah, he was.
Wait, and here's the thing. Okay, I should be concerned more about famine, nuclear warfare, the war in Ukraine, how we treat people in this country. Instead, what am I spending my time on? The fact that Liza Minnelli did not get the Kennedy Center honors. So.
No. See, human beings have layers. We can worry about lots of things simultaneously. We have layers. It's okay. We can worry about world peace and Liza Minnelli at the same time.
Thank you for giving me that pep talk, and I don't feel so bad.
And as far as the ESPN Blues go, I know every time they put a pound for pound list up, the ESPN gets sung, so there's always that too.
Oh my God!
That's my other pet peeve, right? I'm probably in the minority there, though. I'm just not a pound for pound guy. I just don't. I don't see the point of it. I do understand why people get a kick out of debating it. I just don't see the point in it.
I never understand the rules. I feel like the rules are always different. Like what is it?
Well, no, I mean, it's to each their own. And even like when like Showtime and ESPN and what other promotions, when they put up their best welterweights, they conveniently forget people in other stables promotion. I'm like,
well, yeah, and you shouldn't do that.
They should not.
I mean, and you try to put those things up. I mean, right? You want to make sure you do want to make sure you put up the. And that's another thing. It's my other pet peeve. When people now sometimes the boxing, especially in the social media world, like they're all upset. They're all worried about who's promoting a fight. I could care less who's promoting a fight.
Exactly.
Make the fight.
I could care less what platform it's on. Listen, of course, I work for Showtime. I want us to have good fights. But I'm very happy when ESPN has a good fight, when DAZN has a good fight. And I want to watch those fights, and I want to praise those fights.
Yes.
And especially, now, here I am, I'm part of it. For a fan, especially, I don't even get why you would care.
Why?
They aren't getting paid.
Right. They're not. Right.
Canelo and them don't know him, or
Exactly. You're not Canelo's uncle who's worried about getting an extra horse.
I'm not going to watch the Lakers because the Buss family owns them.
Right.
Or Mark Cuban. No one does that in football or basketball or any of that.
If a fight is a good fight, as a fan, that's all I care about.
That's all we care about.
Support fighters, not promoters.
Yes, exactly.
I sound like a grumpy old man with all these complaints.
We're right with you.
No, we're right with
this
you.
This is every episode we talk about it.
You guys are definitely not grumpy old men, so I'm okay then.
But
we talk our shit on. We talk our shit.
Get off our lawn.
That was it. He did his own talk.
Yes.
That was considered our talk our shit segment. Talk your shit.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
That was Al Bernstein's talk your shit segment. He just said it with his complaint. But we will edit that talk your shit, Al Bernstein.
Period.
Oh, Al, we have to cut it. We're ready. I mean, there's so much. You're going to have to come back to the show. I'm going to read this book, and then we're going to talk about it.
We're going to deep
because
dive.
I'm very excited to read it.
Your favorite
Look at this. George Foreman wrote the forward. That's pretty impressive.
George did, yeah.
She did interview him not too long ago.
He was awesome. I interviewed him during the press junket for the Big George Foreman.
Yeah, I did a voiceover for the movie.
That's right.
One of the things. But yeah, George is a great guy. I love George.
He's a lovely human being, and make sure you go to the Best Women's Boxing Show, period, and watch our interview with Big George Foreman. He's a great man.
I want to see that.
This is such an honor for both of us. For boxing royalty is sitting in the house, and
for sure.
I need. You know what? I need to get a tape of that and play it for my wife when I forget to close the garage door.
Boxing royalty.
Honey, we got you.
Yeah, but sweetheart, I'm boxing royalty.
Okay.
And she'll say, "Good for you.
Close the garage door."
Don't forget to close the garage door.
Because there's no boxers in here.
Yeah, there's nothing going on here. The door needs to be closed.
That's so funny. Oh, Al, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We welcome you back anytime, whenever you're in town, when you're not calling the fights. We are going to be calling you in very soon because a lot of big fights, and we'll be like, you know what? Just give us your input.
Yeah. We should do it before any of the big fights.
And then even when eventually the heavyweight, something's going to get announced. I just know it.
There's bound to be some big heavyweight fight at some point in the next 3 or 4 months. I mean, there has to be. So hopefully we'll get that, and then that'll be fun. And think about the fact that 2023 has been so good without a big heavyweight
Right?
fight. That's pretty amazing.
Right?
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's so good.
So we'll touch back on
right.
many of the topics that we didn't get to talk about. I know you fans are like, why didn't you ask this? Why? Because we don't have any more time. But Al Bernstein will come back to
Can't sit here
us.
forever.
Absolutely.
Jeandra, any last thoughts?
I am happy that we have this great gentleman with us who has done so much for both of us professionally. The mentorship is invaluable. If you are looking to forge the path into this crazy, twisty road, this is a good gentleman to hit up to get you some sound advice.
And if
sure.
not, if you're not into boxing, go listen to the man sing. 'Cause
And
he's
buy his
got a
book.
beautiful voice. And yeah, he has books. He has several books. And if you don't like to read, audiobooks, guys.
Exactly. Listen to it when you're on the treadmill.
You don't even have to read it. You can just listen.
Just listen in.
And he does. I did listen to your little audio sample. You do write your own books. You don't have ghostwriters.
No, I do. Right. I do. Well, I deal with that in the introduction to the book. I
Yeah.
point out that, you know, the voice of my mother from the grave saying to me, I sent you to college to be a writer.
That's right.
So
Right.
write your own book. And so I say, I had to write my own book because there's nothing like a Jewish mother giving you guilt from the grave, right?
Oy vey.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oy vey.
God.
You know, I better write it myself.
No AI over here.
No,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
chat, GP, nothing.
None of that.
All right, Al.
All right,
well,
good to
make
be with you
sure.
guys.
So, Al, thank you very much, and make sure you guys go to his show during Spence Crawford Fight Week if you're here in Viva Las Vegas. And then you know what? There are tickets. It's free actually. There are prizes, and if you
Yeah.
think you're a boxing novice, why don't you test your skills and answer some of his questions? Because you never know. And then
Showtime
also.
gave us a lot of good prizes. So.
Oh,
we want
Showtime!
stuff.
It's Showtime stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
well, shoot.
Showtime stuff.
Stephen Espinosa,
Stephen
we want some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on that.
You
for
know, we could even do a pre-show. You know, I'm always going to keep pitching us, Stephen.
He's tired of us at this point. We still talking. We still talking.
We are still talking. All
He
right.
does have a nervous twitch when you guys come in the process. I don't know.
Then we're gonna start
He's like, they're
shadowing
back.
him.
They're back. All right, you guys tune into another episode, but we appreciate you. To the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. I am Cynthia Conte.
And I'm Jeandra LeBeauf.
See you guys at the fights. Bye, guys.